So really quickly before I actually get into the fight, you'll see me running around the gathering hub. I'm going to show off the equipment I was using really quickly. I'll show off the build in full detail after the fight, but I'm going through my armor and stuff here, and I actually realized that the legs I was using were not augmented at all. I think I scroll back up on it real quick right here. Yeah. So, that's the first important tip I can give. I say everybody can beat Fatalis, but yes, there's obviously some gatekeeping involved. You need to have your equipment maxed out. I don't really think there's any way to get around that. At the very least, you need to have your armor fully upgraded, and most of your armor pieces should be augmented and fully upgraded. Here, I was able to afford to fully upgrade my legs here, so my entire set can be augmented and fully upgraded. Most of Fatalis' damage is fire-based, but that doesn't change the fact that the higher your defense value, the less damage you're going to take. So, you want your defense value to be as high as possible. If you notice in the bottom right corner of my screen, I have 40 fire defense, and even with 40 fire defense, I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. You do not want to go into this fight with negative fire defense. I've done plenty of multiplayer hunts where I've seen people running in with -5, -7 fire defense, and then they literally got one shot, like in the beginning of the fight before he's even enraged. You do not want to mess around with that. So, the Fatalis fight, it emulates what old world final boss monsters from other games was like. You know, you'd have this big monster in one arena, and more often than not, you'd have siege weapons to help you do damage to the monster, break parts, whatnot. And that's what the win condition is going to be for a lot of people, I think. A lot of casual players are going to win this fight using the siege weapons well. So I'm going to break up the fight into phases. Upper right corner, I'm going to have what siege weapons will be available to me, at least in this fight. You want to bring your ghillie mantle no matter what, and you also want to have heavy artillery in your build. Siege damage, the siege weapon damage is very, very high, especially with heavy artillery. So you want to put on your ghillie mantle and drop in as soon as you can. I have speed eating on my ghillie mantle, so I can apply my buffs quicker. So I grab the ballista ammo, go straight to the stones that are in front of the cannons, grab those, and then go right to the cannonballs over here. You want your cat to help you load the cannonballs so you can get through this faster, and you can actually do that by going to your communications section and going to signal. That ping will make your palico come right to you. And if you're doing an objective like loading a cannon, it'll cause your palico to go right to that objective and help you out with it. That cannon you want to push 4 ticks to the right. Load up this cannon, you're going to push this one tick to the right. I'm sure you've seen plenty of tutorial videos by now that explain this exact thing, but mastering the opening phase of this fight is, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do. And I'll explain why when we get to phase 2. So after you fire this cannon, you do not want to move. Just stay in this general area, he'll dash at that cannon, then go immediately to the next one and fire it. If you're running heavy artillery, that will be enough to do the first heavy knockdown. I'd probably do something here that most people don't agree with, but I'm running Clutch Claw boost on my dual blades so I can weaken the head, and that makes it so when you flinch shot, that part will take more part damage. We want to break the horns. You flinch shot him as soon as he gets up. If you're running a light weapon, you can get some pods, Farcaster right back out. That's how you want the opening of the fight to go every single time. I'm not saying if it doesn't go like that, you should quit and retry, but if it doesn't go like that, you should probably quit and retry. So here you can switch to whatever your normal build is, or you can just get whatever mantle you replace ghillie mantle with. I have heavy artillery in this build at all times because I used this fight to show off just how powerful the siege weapons can be. If you can manage to have just moderately good DPS with your weapons, the siege weapons can do all the rest of the work for you. You can do more than half of Fatalis' health just using ballista, cannons, roaming ballista, dragonator, etc. So here, I could have just run up to Fatalis and just attacked him, and I probably would be doing more damage if I did that. But I'm trying to build him up to his next big stagger caused by heavy weapons, and I'm going to refer to that as the heavy knockdown. So right there we did enough damage to his chest where he belly flopped. So he's on all fours, it makes it easier to hit his head. And right here I'm trying to tenderize the chest. The chest is where we're going to be doing the majority of our damage. As a quick side note, if you tenderize the legs, that's actually worth your time. The legs take significantly more damage if you tenderize them, and that's especially helpful in multiplayer when you're trying to safe spot him. I apologize in advance for any dual blade mains that watch this video. I barely use the dual blades. I think I only have like 80 completions with dual blades. I know how to use them, I'm no master on them. Sorry about that. I'm running an elemental dual blade set using Alatreon armor and Alatreon dual blades because he is weakest to dragon damage. And you can see for yourself that the damage is actually fairly high. It's respectable. I call that attack right there the death cone because anything caught in that cone is probably going to die. But it is a prime opportunity to hit his head. You can bait out that attack if you stand just in front of him. Sometimes you can just trick his AI to using that attack over and over, and it can be really easy damage. This first phase, it is about 20 to 25% of Fatalis' health, and that is a sizable chunk to take out. Fatalis has about 66 to 67,000 health. That beginning sequence takes about, it does about 6,000 damage, and then you have to do the rest yourself. I said this is the most important phase because this is what locks you out of using the other siege weapons. There's another cannon, and most importantly, the roaming ballista. That's where most of your damage is going to come from if you're not doing most of it with your weapons. So right here, he's not enraged, so I immediately went for the Clutch Claw Flint Shot. If you land that, it does so much horn damage, and you want to get rid of his horns as quickly as possible. This marks the end of first phase. I'm going to take a drink in the meantime. You take this opportunity to sharpen and reapply buffs. There's a very specific thing I do here. I do die here, and I wanted to have a run where I died so it doesn't seem like I've been practicing this over and over because I haven't. I honestly think anybody can do this, so go straight to the roaming ballista and use it as soon as you possibly can. Don't be like me and get greedy and die trying to go after it, but you should use up the roaming ballista as quickly as you can. The reason being, we want the roaming ballista to be on cooldown as quickly as possible. We want to use it as many times as possible. So like I said, I died here. And I realized really quickly that I was not using Fortify, which was a mistake. I meant to be using Fortify. Do the Fly of Shame back into the fight. Just like the Alatreon fight, this is unscripted, and I'm very tired, so sorry for the sloppy commentary. So unfortunately, by the time I got back, his chest was no longer tenderized, so it's not taking as much damage as before. The roaming ballista does so much damage with the heavy artillery that I actually ended up breaking his wings, although I wasn't focusing them at all. Well, I broke his left wing. If his head is tenderized, I personally think you should focus all the damage on his head. His horns do have a lot of health, and the quicker you can get rid of them, the better. Here you can tell exactly how bad I am with dual blades because I miss basically every attack. I didn't even mention it, but I used the one-shot binder there because I saw a good opportunity to hit his head. And here's the next heavy knockdown. That marks 2. This knockdown lasts just about as long as one caused by a mount would. Unfortunately, dual blades is not really a great weapon to go for mounts with. So that's why we're really focusing on using the siege weapons to get our knockdowns. That attack can be a good opportunity for you to hit the head, but the head does move around a lot there. You really do have to aim. It's not something anybody's really keeping track of, but we've already done close to like 8,000–9,000 damage with siege weapons in this phase alone. So once again, I could just be attacking him and it would be doing more damage, but I'm trying to show off how important these siege weapons are and just how well you can do using them as like a focus. And also, once again, I'm trying to build towards my next heavy knockdown as quickly as possible. You saw there, that sequence was a lot of running back and forth in and out of attacks. Fatalis has very, very quick tells to how he's going to attack you. And the only way for you to really get used to that is through doing the fight over and over again. And I'm pretty sure by now, if you haven't won, then you're probably a master at telling, or you should be a master at telling what attacks he's going to do. It's just a matter of what you do when you know. I was greedy there. I just wanted to get my ballista hits in. I knew I'd survive any attack with my fireproof mantle on, but don't do things like that. I actually did this recording is done right after I got home from like 12 hours at work, so I just I didn't care. I just wanted to get the fight done. I tried to do a dive here, but messed up. I didn't have Felyne Medic or Recovery up, so my Mega Potions and First Aids weren't healing that much. Most of my healing just came from Max Potions this fight. That's why I highly suggest you bring ingredients for more. Let's see. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but there is one cannon in this phase, and that cannon can provide you with a lot of damage and bring you to a heavy knockdown. Oh, there's a chest break. That'll happen naturally in just about any fight. The chest is very easy to break. But yeah, the cannon. So if you can find a point to load up that cannon while you're solo, then go for it. But Fatalis gets very aggressive whenever you're near any of the siege weapons. You don't even need to be on them. If you're near them, he'll start spamming you with fireballs. So it's very risky to load up that cannon. Right there, got the horn break at the worst possible opportunity. If you get the horn break while he's flying, he'll stay on the ground for significantly less time. But, luckily for me, my cat's using paralysis weapon, and I got the paralyzed right after. I'm gonna do a quick, very basic combo here. And I've done so much damage, I can tell that the next phase is gonna come. That's why I went out of demon mode, but the wind pressure knocked me back. Now I have to make the run basically across the entire arena just to get to the barricade. I actually almost died here. You can see the big flames almost hit me, It's a very, very tight window of time when he starts using those Flame Novas. You want to try to be as central in the arena as possible to minimize how much running you need to do. Since I didn't have Fortify, I realized that my buffs weren't up, so I tried to rebuff here. This is phase 3, his quote-unquote final form, as the game refers to it. We used one-shot binder in phase 2. We're going to use another one in this phase. As you can see, since we've been using the ballista ammo pretty much as soon as it reloads, there's more here, and I have 10 in my inventory, so we're going to try to use those up. Best time to use them up is Temporal Mantle being up, because he can't knock you off the ballista like that. So, like I said, I'm going to go after them again. I dodged that last fireball so I could save a charge of Temporal. You'll notice that the ground is burning under me, and it does residual damage, even through Temporal. That'll add up pretty quickly, but since we have health augment and we're hitting the face, it doesn't really matter. Once again, missing most of my attacks. I'm bad at dual blades, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I haven't been talking about his attacks as much. I just feel like that's probably been talked to death about by now. But I can go over them pretty quickly. At least in the final form, you'll notice that whenever he does those really big, like, nuke fireballs, he'll sometimes do them in 3s. If you're near him while he does them in 3s, that's a huge opportunity for you to just lay into the chest. I'm at a distance right now, so he's just lobbing fireballs at me. That's what he'll do whenever you're on the wall. In this phase, he also has 2 attacks you won't have seen before. One where he will sweep a fire breath on either side of him. That's just to get you away from his sides. If you stay near his chest, he won't hit you with that. And surprisingly, it didn't happen to me in this fight, but he gets a really annoying attack where he'll spin in a circle and breathe out a massive flame everywhere. The next phase is already here. But yeah, the 360 fire breath, he'll sweep it and he'll hit pretty much everyone in the arena. That attack does a lot of damage, and it seems hard to dodge at first, but if you just stay really close to his chest on the side where he's not starting the fire breath, you can actually just do like a full damage combo with pretty much any weapon, and it won't hit you at all. You'll notice that in the corner, I say that the Roaming Ballista and Dragonator are up here. Because we've spent enough time in his final form, the Dragonator will be off cooldown soon, and the Roaming Ballista is already going to be back up. Phase 4, as I like to call it, I guess, or everyone likes to call it pretty much, it's another one of those phases where you do have to take out a considerable chunk of Fatalis' health. Phase 3, you actually only have to take out about 10% of his health, which is less than the other ones. But in this phase, you have to take about 20 or 30% of his health to move on to the next one. The phases are marked by whenever he uses those giant flames, or novas as some people call them. I prefer giant flame, but nova is easier to fit in the screen. He was really aggro to my cat, so I got a free opportunity here to clutch claw him. But unfortunately, he was standing, so it didn't do much damage. It just forced him to the ground. You heard the woman. Roaming Ballista's up, so I'm going straight for it. Like I said at the very beginning of this fight, the win condition for a lot of more casual players, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I consider myself a casual player as well, is going to be this roaming ballista. I really botched my shots here because, again, I wasn't really caring too much. But the roaming ballista with heavy artillery just does so much damage. Like you'll see, with his chest broken and tenderized, you do about 92 damage a shot. If you land every single shot, it's 9,200 damage. It's a lot. And you can use the roaming ballista 3 times in the fight if you space it out well enough. That's part of the reason why I said phase 1 is the most important phase, because the quicker you can finish that phase, the quicker you get to use the roaming ballista, and the more you get to use it in the fight. We got very lucky with the way he landed from his flight there, and he landed right in front of the Dragonator. More often than not, it'll take a long time for you to lure him to that Dragonator. I've had one run where it took me literally 3 minutes to get him in front of that damn thing. So we did enough damage here, so we're going right into the next phase. I haven't mentioned it yet, but these giant flames come out in a cone, just like his death cone attack. So running towards the closest edge of the map is the best way to dodge them. I've seen way too many people die by trying to run just straight forward into him. You want to minimize your distance as much as possible, so keep that in mind. Oh my god, this is more rapid fire than the friggin' Alatreon fight. Barely have a chance to breathe. I'm gonna take a drink. I got baited right there. Where's my drink? I thought I got a heavy knockdown, but he just flinched. He almost killed me with that death cone. Luckily, he used another one. I can use this opportunity to tenderize his face. For those who don't know, the reason why you want to break his horns as quickly as possible is because when he enters phase 3, or his final form, if his horns are intact, his flames will be bluish, and if they're blue, they'll pretty much always one-shot you. So, you want to break his horns because that makes his flame damage much lower. And if you can manage to break his horns twice, his flame damage will become so low that when he uses his giant flame at the end of a phase, you can actually outright survive it if you have enough fire defense. When it comes to weapon choice, if you're someone like me who uses all the weapons, I'd suggest using any weapon that can do a lot of damage very quickly and get out. Because hit and run is really the way to go with most weapons against Fatalis. There are some weapons that can stand their ground and just straight on brawl with Fatalis, but that takes quite a bit of skill and quite a bit of mastery at those weapons. One weapon, for instance, that can do that is the Lance. Lance users can make a joke of Fatalis. I actually originally used the Greatsword for this fight, but my skill with the Greatsword is questionable, and I was not using the right build. I'd highly suggest using like a crit draw, Frostcraft type build where you can just go in, draw, do a shit ton of damage to his chest, run away, rinse and repeat. Although I say the siege weapons can pretty much win you the fight, there still is a certain amount of damage you need to do yourself. So you want to make sure that you're capable of doing that damage by being able to dodge his attacks and take advantage of the very small openings he gives you. We got another heavy knockdown because of siege weapon damage, so going right for the head. I noticed my stamina was kind of low here, so go ahead and eat the ration. I had a feeling his horns were really close to being broken by now, so I shot a stone at them to see if they would break. They did not, but it's only going to take like 1 or 2 more hits to break them. Or 1 or 2. Like 1 more combo. There was a little skip in the video there. I'm not sure what really happened with my capture card. Not going to question it. I go ahead and tenderize the head again. And that actually leads us right into the next phase. And the final phase. This is the last time he uses a Nova for the fight. This final Nova marks him at being at about 5% health. So this is the home stretch. There's been plenty of times where I've reached this phase and I've had no carts left, no siege weapons to use, barely any items. But you just gotta do your best to hang in there. 5% health is a lot less than you think. It's only about 3,000 or so. And even players who aren't that great at taking advantage of his openings can do 3,000 damage if they really try. And here's the last hit. I see him using that triple fire breath right there. Yeah, triple fireball. It's the final opening of the fight, and it's over. So, I realized how quickly everything seemed to go by in terms of commentary. I didn't even get to say everything I wanted to say, but I just wanted to show off what practiced as in I've failed this fight dozens and dozens and dozens of times. What a practiced solo run can look like after you've gotten used to his openings, and to really prove just how important those siege weapons can be. Of course, I haven't gone through and counted every single ballista hit I did in the fight. I know I did many, but I'm more than willing to say I did more than 50 or 60% of Fatalis' health just using siege weapons alone. If you put that into perspective, then that means I only really did about 20-ish thousand health in weapon damage. Oh man, I think that was, this is a recording of my 22nd Fatalis hunt. I have more solo completions than I do multiplayer. I think soloing it is far easier. So yeah, this is footage of after the fight. I was restocking my items. I didn't have many items left after all that. You're going to want your potions and mega potions. That's obvious. You want your max potions and ingredients for more. You're going to use max potions as your main source of healing. You want as many buffs as possible and try to keep them up more than I did. I didn't really use them in that fight, and that's just a bad habit of mine. I forget to. Dash juice is going to keep you from losing stamina when you need to run, so please take them. You're going to need your Farcaster for the very beginning of the fight. Do not forget it. There's been plenty of runs where I forgot my Farcaster and I was stuck with a Ghillie Mantle for most of the fight. You can also consider using your barrel bombs and whatnot if you have sleep on your cat. I had paralysis on mine, so I didn't bring any. And the mushrooms, the sushi fish scales are for healing, and the wetfish fin is for sharpening. But I think most people aren't really going to have the chance to sharpen during the fight unless you're playing multiplayer. We're going to go over to the food skills now. The food skill that you want is Safeguard. That's pretty much it. If you don't have the canteen ingredients to make Safeguard, go get them. You're going to want gourmet vouchers also, so you can guaranteed get your health and stamina from, and you can guaranteed get Safeguard from the food. I have a list of other food skills that are good there that you want, but Safeguard 100% for multiplayer and for solo. Just, unless you're a master at this fight, just bring Safeguard. If you're a master at this fight, you won't be watching this video anyway. Alright, so that being said, I'm going to show off really quickly. I'm not going to explain it, but I'm going to show off really quickly what I was using in terms of decorations for my build. There it is. You can pause if you want to. I think it's a very, very basic build. I would take the attack jewel underneath the hard fire resistance out for Fortify. If you're confident you're not going to die, don't bring Fortify, but if you're that confident, you probably won't be watching this video. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I needed to put something out for Fatalis. I mean, it would have been a crime if I didn't. This is the end of Monster Hunter World, so I have to throw my hat in the ring somehow. I haven't really figured out my new editing software situation. I'm still learning it, so I just had to throw something together, kind of like the Alatreon video. I tried to make it a little bit more informative than the Alatreon video, but I'm going to be making another video soon on the Fatalis weapons and how I think you should play all the weapons against Fatalis. So look out for that. Thank you. My name's PhookiNada Blair. Join me to talk about some other random shit next time. Happy hunting.